Welcome back, Shalligators. Well, more news from the Kardashians. Sort of. A Kardashian satellite, a Kardashian cast-off. Kanye West. Rumor has it that his romance with Irina Shayk, who we talked about a few, weeks, months, I don't know, time's a flat circle, ago about what to do when your ex trades up. Ugh, when they date someone who's actually hotter than you. Well, JK, because things have already gone bust. Apparently, Irina told him in no uncertain terms she doesn't really want to see him like that. She's not going to go to Paris with him next month, I presume for Fashion Week, and she just wants to be friends. We're going to break down what's going on here, and more importantly, we're going to talk about something that we don't talk about a lot. We talk a lot about how we can handle rejection, like when we're on the end of heartbreak, but we need to talk more about being a bad bitch who's going to break a heart. Now, it's never fun to break a heart. And if we do it right, rejecting somebody doesn't have to be catastrophic, doesn't have to be mean, dramatic, any of that. I'm going to tell you the right and the wrong ways to break up with a guy nicely, respectfully, honestly, but most importantly, in a way that sticks. Because, girl, the last thing you want is to have to do it all over again. There's a few words that you want to avoid at all costs in order to make a breakup, rejection, a turn down, whatever, last in a way that's not going to hurt his ego or damage your reputation. But before we get started, sorry, my bangs. Before we get started, let's look at my bangs. Just to remind you to follow me on Instagram. Also, be sure to listen to my podcast, Girl on Top. Speaking of little words, I'm telling you 4 words that change a guy's behavior that aren't naggy, desperate, blah, 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 blah. 4 little words you need to employ instead of, I feel disrespected, or you're pissing me off. That doesn't change behavior. I'll tell you what does. Also, if you want to chat with me, find me on my website at shallonlester.com and over on Cameo if you would like a video shout out for a birthday, a pep talk, question, anything like that. I got you, girl. All right. Let's talk Kanye and Irina. I kind of wish they'd stay together so we could have Irina, Shayk. There isn't really a couple name that goes together. But yeah, she apparently gave him the old heave-ho. They were spotted, or reports were that she was in Provence, which is the south of France. I studied abroad in Provence every year in high school. It was so wonderful. Ugh, je me manque. Anyway, she was at his birthday party down there. Like, Kanye, get the fuck out of France. Just stay home. Get out of Wyoming too. Don't you come back here. Go to Calabasas or Los Angeles where, like, people can tolerate you. What has the south of France ever done to you? And what is Wyoming, which is dangerously close to Montana, ever done to you? So Irina and him were linked, and it was like, oh, they're dating. And she was like, I don't want to actually be linked to him. And if I go to Paris with him, she doesn't want to be linked with him. And if she goes to Paris with him, then it'll be like all over the news. Everyone will assume they're dating. And apparently she told him, Kanye, I see you, how you say, I have too much like respect for you as friend to ever want to see the nakeds or touch the weenus. How you say the weenus? I don't want to touch weenus. I'm sorry. I have baby with Bradley Cooper. You, sir, are no Bradley Cooper. I mean, for Christ's sakes. We talked that Irina is possibly an upgrade from Kim. I mean, Irina is literally one of the most beautiful women that's ever walked the earth. But I think Kanye's a downgrade from Bradley. I don't believe Bradley's gay. I've never believed that. I've never heard any actual confirmed anything besides like the Hollywood gay mafia claiming him. And like we always say, they never claim the ugly ones. Never Dustin Hoffman is gay. Nope, it's Bradley Cooper. Like Henry Cavill. I don't think so, dude. Nice try. But the point is, she had to reject him. And she did something that a lot of us do. I think I love you as friend. We can still be friends. Very interested in friend. Is this smart? This is something we tend to want to say. Why? Because in the moment, it feels harsh to just be like, I'm done with you. Well, can't we be friends? Ugh. Okay. And more importantly, we don't want to be the bad guy. So I've got 4 tips on breaking up with a guy cleanly and nicely. Number one, figure out truly how you feel about this. We hate it when guys dance in and out of our lives. One day he seems to like me, the next he despises me, the next he's treating me like a girlfriend, the next I'm a fucking booty call. This is when people are not self-aware, they're not doing their own emotional due diligence, and they're just like, bleh, they're shooting first, right? And asking questions later, and it has a ruinous effect on the person they're doing this to. They're extremely careless with our hearts, so we can't be like that either. But usually, if we're like, ugh, if you're watching this video, you've probably already made up your mind. Now, it could be something as simple as, hey, a Tinder guy, like you matched with him, you talked about going out, but now you're like, I just don't want to, for whatever reason, okay? And we could have a whole conversation about giving people a chance. That's not this fucking video. That's not this fucking video. Or it could be like you have to break up with someone, or a guy's been asking you out. So wherever on this spectrum of seriousness in terms of the relationship that you're on, that's okay. You can use all of these tips, just kind of tailor them. So decide how you feel. And once you decide it, there is no going back. There's no going back. You can't be a fuckboy. When we think about what a fuckboy is, it isn't a guy who's like, I just want to fuck, and they treat you like that no matter what. A fuckboy is a guy who's like, I miss you. What are you doing? You look so pretty. But then I always say, because guys like, girls go crazy. I was like, no, motherfucker. Girls realize on some level that there's only 3 categories they can be in. Friend, booty call, girlfriend. Right? Like, we're in kind of one of those 3 categories. Girls go crazy when guys treat us like we're in a category we're not. Don't treat a booty call like a girlfriend. Don't treat a girlfriend like a best friend. It's when we're in one and the lines get blurred that we're like, ugh! So we can't do that either. If you are breaking up with someone, it is over. If you're not sure, then pump the brakes and take it slow. But again, that's not what this video is. We're talking about actual rejection. So once you figure out how you feel, be okay with being the bad guy. Be okay with being the bad guy. You know, we'd like to think that men are hardwired to like fuck and spread their seed and like hunt. I don't know, maybe. But you know what they actually seem to be hardwired to do? Avoid being the bad guy. Here's an example of this. When you haven't heard from an ex and then out of the blue, like, hey, how have you been? And you're like, you're texting all your friends, you're submitting questions to me, you're like looking up Cosmo's bedside astrology, you're like, what the fuck? Like, what should I write? Should I do this? And then you're like, I'm just gonna write back. Like, it's one text, it's fine. Like, who cares? I'm not gonna like gush. I'm just gonna be like, hey, I've been good. How are you? And you write it back and you hit send and they never reply. And you're like, and you go absolutely ballistic with emotion and rage because it's like, what the fuck? What was that about? Do you know what that was about? Him not wanting to be the bad guy. So he was checking in to make sure you didn't hate him. And the fact that you responded means, oh, phew, off the hook. Even, and this doesn't make sense, but this is how guys are. Even if you responded with, you can go fuck yourself, Derek, you shrimp dick bitch. That doesn't matter because you still cared enough to respond. You still cared enough to respond. So he's like, phew. The loudest thing a guy can hear is silence. Ugh. Is it not the most frustrating thing? Because look, I'm like queen of words, blah, 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 words, and more words, emotions. Here's every emotion that I've ever felt, right? But it really doesn't get the message across. Like, silence speaks so much louder. My point is, you have to be okay being the bad guy. He might hate you. He might tell everyone you're a bitch who broke up with him. He might respond like, you know what? Fuck you, Hannah. Like, he might not take it well. This, you got to stand firm. People hate me a lot. I mean, there's like 100 hate videos about me. Get a life. Go eat some fruit. Use some hyaluronic acid. Put a hair mask on. Fucking losers. But look, the gift of that is like, some bitch on Tinder doesn't like me. Oh no, oh, people have called me a pedophile on the internet. It really can't get worse than that. So like, now I'm like bulletproof. So I'm really good at rejecting people, and I'm good at breaking up, and I'm good at holding my boundaries and holding the line. Because a lot of this should circle back to boundaries. You know, especially if the reason you have to reject someone is that they are breaching your boundaries, cut that off. So be okay with being the bad guy. Now, Next point number 2. This one's controversial. But this is what I tend to default to. Come up with an ego-saving lie. No, I know. These people out here, the live, laugh, love crowd, they're like, honesty is the best policy. Choose kindness. I lie and I choose evil. Thanks. Look, honesty is not the best policy always with men. First of all, men are fucking dangerous. This is true. And if you tell a man the God's honest truth, a lot of dead girls have done that. Yo, I know that sounds like crazy and dramatic, but it happens. I'll tell you this. This is an example. And it made me nervous for her. My mom, I tried to get her on online dating. Oh, super unsuccessfully. She hated it. And she's like, no, a few years ago. And she's pure sweet. And she's just pure goodness. And I'm literally only 50% of her. It explains a lot. And guys would message her hey, what's up? Would you want to go get a coffee? Something, or just even like her picture, something. And she was responding to all of them. The one she didn't want to go out with, oh, hey, I'm actually not interested, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, Mom, don't do that. Do not. You owe them nothing. They're fishing. It could be a copy and paste. They could send it to every chick on there. Do not respond. Do not engage. Because people, men, we're barely people, can't differentiate between positive and negative communication, right? Which is what we just said. When the ex reaches out and you're like, fuck you, Derek. He's like, she responded. She cares, And she's like, no, it's the polite thing. I'm like, politeness is a woman's worst enemy. At the worst, it gets us killed. At best, it erodes our boundaries. Oh, well, I didn't want to be impolite. Was there a prize for that? The fuck? And sure enough, every one of these men, and they are her age, they're grown ass adults with probably daughters of their own, right? Responded with, well, fine, fuck you. Oh, sorry, you're too good for me. Something vitriolic and insane. And to watch someone speak like that to my mother, an actual angel on earth, to watch someone speak like that to my mother. And I was like, Mom, why don't you just give me your login and I'll take care of this. Hey, yeah, Gary and Dennis, I'd love to meet you at Panera. Let's go at night. Let's park in the darkest part of the parking lot where there's no lights or cameras. Come on out. Come on. Whatever. My point is, sometimes honesty doesn't get you anywhere. When she started to get smarter and was like, oh, I've actually started seeing someone. They're like, oh, okay, I'm sorry, good luck. An ego-saving lie is not just saving their ego and making the message less personal, the rejection less personal. It's also insulating you from being more of the bad guy. Oh, I'm so fucking sorry, Mackenzie. You're just too goddamn good to go out with me. That's interesting, right? When a man's ego is poked, boop, it is the most delicate, fragile thing in the entire world. Never underestimate the bullshit a man will pull when his ego is threatened. He will start wars with Troy. Okay? So, a lie that I love, if I have to reject someone, if it's on Tinder, hey, I've actually started seeing someone. But look, I don't even really feel the need to if I haven't met someone, and even if we haven't kissed, I don't feel like I owe them any further communication. I ghost. It's bro, I don't even know you. I don't owe you jack shit. If you say you want to go out again, I don't need to respond to you. I'm sorry. But let's say that's a scenario, and let's say you do feel compelled to respond. He's a nice guy, whatever. First of all, who cares if he's nice? They're not all that nice. You can say the truth. You know what? I had a great time, but I just feel more of a friend chemistry than a romantic chemistry. Chemistry is kind of a good thing to blame it on because it's not something that either person is doing. It's just kind of there. And you can say that. I've said that before. It's nothing you're doing. It's nothing I'm doing. It just kind of is what it is, And when you add the by implying that he's going to agree, it's kind of a psychological trick. They're more likely to agree. It's yeah, well, of course, I know, right? The lie, though, that I default to when I have to break up with someone, not if it's an actual boyfriend, because that's kind of weird, but sometimes, I don't know. No, I don't think I've done that, is, you know what? I'm still in love with my ex. I don't get specific about which one. I mean, I guess all of them when I think about it, right? It's just wallpapering over one. But it's because it sets up my attention is elsewhere. It's I'm sorry, no matter what you do, you're just fighting a ghost. And this is what she said. I can't drag you further down this. I have so much respect for you. And I wouldn't want to get you involved in like my mess. This is just my mess to work out. I'm really sorry. This has nothing to do with you. You're fantastic, but my mind is just not present right now. I like the ex thing. I think it's a good kind of default. I want you guys to tell me in the comment section a lie that, or a reality or a truth that has worked for you when rejecting someone. But I typically think that's good. Let's talk about what's not good, because this is just as important. Point number 3, do not use qualifiers. Do not blame it on anything that has a timeline that might end. I'm studying for the LSAT. I'm just super busy with work right now on this project. I'm about to go away for 3 months. Somebody I know, someone very close to me, had to reject someone. And they like asked her out over emails, fucking gross. I think they used the term make love. I wanted to vomit. And I'm like, she wrote this huge thing in response. And I'm like, holy shit. Like, no. It's got to be like this. Boom, 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 done. No is a complete sentence. No is a complete sentence. Can you honestly imagine what our lives would be like if we could just say no? Have you ever considered that? Like, truly. Just be like, no. Whether it's, hey, you going to the party? No. Do you want to go running? No. Do you want to go out tomorrow? No. Without this like post-amble, well, I really have this thing and my like guinea pig needs some company. Blah, blah, blah. What if we could just stand and it's like, nope. Wow. That's kind of mind-blowing. So, but I know it's difficult. I get it. So anyway, she wrote this like huge long Gettysburg address to this dude. And towards the end, she put in one line and I read it. I was like, that's the only line he's going to see. That is the only thing he is going to hear out of this 10 trillion word email. That's it. And the line was, this isn't something I'm considering right now. Right now. And she's like, oh, no, look at how much I wrote. Look at how thorough I was. Look at how clear I was. Click send. You know what his response was? Well, since you said right now, I understand that you need some time and space. Let's revisit this in a few weeks. I was like, it's almost like I do this for a living, sweetie. Right? That's all he heard. Because when the heart wants something, they're looking for loopholes. Do you know how I know this? Because you bitches are. I get questions from you guys all day. I get questions from you guys all day. He says he doesn't want to go out with me. He doesn't reply to my text messages. He doesn't come over. He won't talk to me at the bar or at school or whatever. But he likes my photos. God, doesn't mean anything. Like you have a mountain of data that points to an outcome you don't want, a theory that no. And you have one not real data point that you're like looking at from this angle and this angle. It's like to try to like squeeze some meaning out of there. And it's like, honey, no. So if we do that, guys do that. Everyone does that. When they want something, they're looking for entrances, not exits. So this needs to be watertight. I'm not thinking about that right now. I just don't think that works for us like at this time. Like, I'm just not even thinking about a boyfriend this summer. Because the worst case scenario is, like I said, bitch, you got to do this again. 2 weeks, 2 days, 2 hours later. 2 hours later. And it's like, I went through this with my ex. I'm like, you cannot possibly tell me that our relationship would be different if we get back together because you've heard my concerns, because you're not hearing what I'm saying, that I don't want to be with you. It's not about the time. It's not about my workload. It's not about summer. And I finally had to get mean. I'm like, it's you. I don't want to be with you. In 2020, in 2029, when Elon Musk colonizes Jupiter, ever. I don't want to. And it's like, I hate getting pushed to that point where I have to be so mean. But then I'm like, if you could just respect me, I was like, bro, you're breaking your own heart here. Like, You are the architect of your own misfortune. If you would listen and have a modicum of self-esteem and dignity, it would not get here. It would not get here. And we've been on the other end of that where we're like, he's just being so mean. Well, you're not listening. You're not listening. And when people don't listen to us, we get real frustrated real quick. And you end up like grabbing someone by the ears and just like shouting at them like, I don't like you. Leave me alone. I don't like you. Oh, that ain't good. So we have to avoid that. So this is what you're going to do next. You're going to say your piece, draft it out short, 2 sentences max. And then a guinea pig. Nope. Short. And you are going to send it via text. This is not something you're going to do in person because it's dangerous to do in person. First of all, honestly, men can fucking snap. We don't know what they're capable of. Also, we're not as bold in person. We're going to look in their eyes and we're like, oh, well, I don't know. Like, I'm just like kind of nervous. And then we start talking to fill the silence. We just shuck and jive and we're like a monkey on coke, just rambling. We say too much. We inevitably say a qualifier. That's what they latch onto. And then this hideous cycle repeats and it doesn't work. So you say this over text. Don't you think you owe me like a face-to-face breakup? Nope, I don't. I prefer to get dumped over text. If someone's going to break up with me, I prefer it over text. I can cry, I can have my own reaction that doesn't like destroy my dignity. And then I can come up with a response, if any, that is also controlled and dignified. Like I'm not fighting my own emotions and trying to remain in control. Like nobody's really that strong. And so why put yourself through that? And why put this other dude through it? If they say, well, I'd like to meet face to face to discuss this. Just say, I have nothing else to say. Please respect this. When you say, please respect this, I think that is a very effective phrase because if they don't, then it's like, okay, I told you to respect this. You didn't. You've demonstrated that you have no respect for me and therefore I don't need to be nice anymore. The gloves are coming out. I don't need to be nice anymore. So look, you say this via text. You make it a statement, not a question. It is a complete sentence, a complete thought. And then to avoid this, well, can't we meet up? Well, I think you owe me a conversation. I'm going to call you right now. Listen, what I'm about to say, you're not going to like it. But I swear to God, the people who follow this have the most success. You're going to feel better immediately. If you don't do this next step, do not come crying to me. I'm serious. Even though I'm going to make money off of you, I don't care. I would rather have you have a positive outcome. You send this and you block them. You send this and then you block them. I am a bait taker. I take the bait. I'm a fighter. I'm a warrior. And so when someone pops back off to me, I'm like it's really hard for me to resist. I can usually do it, but then I stew on it and I chew on it. Ugh. Why do that to ourselves? If he's going to write back something weepy and emo, you don't need to hear it. If he's going to write back something hostile, you don't need to hear it. If he's going to write back something respectful, hey, that's great. But really, you also don't need to hear it. Why? Because you've gone over step number 1, which is be okay being the bad guy. So him saying, hey, I respect you. Great. That's good for us. Okay, great. So you still don't need to hear it because you've already inhabited the worst case scenario. Ooh, I'm hot. Yo, it's hot out here. And also, this is not a negotiation. That's what's important to understand and really inhabit. This is not a negotiation. So we're not letting them have like a bounce the ball back because again, they're going to draw you in. You're going to have a qualifier. And then you might say the worst possible thing, well, maybe we can still be friends. Nope. Do your friends want to fuck you? Mine don't. And I'm pretty hot. Do you want to fuck your friends? Probably not. Okay, so that means they're not, this dude, he's not your friend. Friendship is neutral. This is not a neutral situation. Maybe sometime down the line, 6 months, whatever, after the dust is settled, you guys can run into each other at Costco or something and be like, hey, yeah, oh my gosh, we're all going to the movies. Sure, join, whatever. This is not that time. And again, you do not want to put a qualifier in there that, yeah, maybe in a little bit we can be friends because friends, people can go from friends to lovers. If you truly do want to be friends with him down the line, look, first of all, you failed at the first assignment, which is be okay being the bad guy. You're saying, I want to be friends to assuage your own guilt. You want to confess you feel guilty? Go see a priest. Don't talk to this dude. And if you really, really, really want to say that, if you find yourself saying this, do not use the word friends, use the word platonic. I feel platonic about you. Maybe we could have a platonic relationship. Why? The word platonic is very clinical. It's very dry and harsh. It's like platonic. Blah. Say, I see you as a brother or a cousin. Ooh, cousin's harsh. I see you more as a relative, not a romantic interest. Ugh. Again, you don't have to lead with this. If they push you and you have no choice, you bust that shit out. Be like, I'm sorry, I see you as my brother. You remind me of my brother. I'm sorry. I see you more as a sister. You really want to go for the throat, say that. So yeah, you're going to decide how you feel. Be okay with being the bad guy. Come up with an ego-saving lie or a very short version of the truth. Say what you need to say in text, right? Not in person. No qualifiers. At this time, maybe we can be friends. Maybe, no maybes. No, at this time. No, when I get something. Nope. And then you block. You mute them on social so it doesn't look like harsh, and you block them just so they don't pop up. Move them into a different inbox so you don't even see this. Block their phone number. Because we've talked about if you have an iPhone and you pull up iMessage on your desktop, the messages still come through. Just in case you're like, I need to know. But you don't, bitch. You're over this. Move on. Move on. Because you have to let the dust settle. This is for their benefit too. We know how toxic it is when we keep going back to someone who like has dumped us and they're answering and they're responding, and how much that spirals us. Well, I don't understand. He's still talking to me. No, you're talking to him. And you're breaking your own heart. Sometimes, my mom says this all the time and it's so smart, we have to be cruel to be kind. It is the kindest thing to cut someone off cold turkey and just move forward and not keep giving them hope and planting all these seeds. It just doesn't work. So I want to know your tales of rejecting a dude. When has it gone right? When has it gone not so right? And do you think there's a woman on earth who would willingly date Kanye West? God knows it's not me. I'll see you later, Shalligators.